I'm Morgan, and I'm a GRCC student. My house is kind of like in the suburbs, and so it's really secluded. Hi. I'm normally one of the first people up in my house. I drive the same route every day to school, unless I stop to get coffee. Growing up, my parents did expect a lot from me, but they were always okay, like, if it wasn't perfect. I always just wanted it to be. I wanted to prove myself, I guess. Our student population is so diverse. There's a lot of non-traditional students. It's kind of cool because you might meet someone who's like in their 40s and they're just starting school up again, or someone who never went to college, or the people that are fresh out of high school, just like me. Taking classes here is a lot less expensive than going to a university. Definitely needing to save some money up because I do like to travel. Once class was done, changed for work. I have to pay for school in some way. Having a job is good on any resume, especially if I'm going to transfer. At CC, you just get to be who you want. You can start fresh. You get a whole bunch of different people who have so many different experiences. I like who I've become.
I'm KZ Wanangela, and I'm a real GRCC student. I woke up, I made breakfast, a big breakfast, took my car, came to school. I work at GRCC as the operations director of Student Alliance. I got someone, she wanted to get involved in school activities. I'm from the Congo Democratic Republic. I came to America because there is peace, no wars. In my country, it's unbelievable. You cannot even concentrate in school. GRCC is a place to start my education. After work, I had class.
Yeah, this is very easy.
It was a mathematics class. At GRCC, it's cheaper. I don't like going to very expensive schools. And after that, I decided to go to take lunch. I went with my American family. I call them family because they are there for me every day. It's an African restaurant. Yeah, it reminds me from where I come from. After eating, I decided to go to teach some piano. For me, I play African music. I'm quite sure he will be good. You know, I come from the nation of war. The war used to separate me from my family when I was still very young. So becoming independent is not my choice. When I came here, I had to be independent. For me, GRCC is a very special place. Yeah.
So I believe that Morgan Brown and KZ are here. Morgan, will you stand up? KZ, stand up, please. Please acknowledge those two students. Always good to see our students. Speaking of which, we have several students this morning that we asked to serve for our panel discussion to talk a little bit about their GRCC experience and for us to understand even more about what some of those varying experiences look and sound like, and to learn ourselves, have an opportunity to learn from our students and taking this morning to do so. So what I'm going to do, instead of me introducing them individually to you, I'll ask them to introduce themselves to you. They'll tell you their name and what their major and everything is. And then I told them, I said, then introduce yourself to us. Tell us about you. And I gave them each, 45 minutes to do that? No, I'm joking. I gave them a couple of minutes to do that. I said, and whatever that looks like that you want to share with us about you, tell us about you. So we're going to start off with Melissa, please.
My name is Melissa Jones, and I'm currently attending GRCC for nursing. I will be pursuing my LPN, and I start next week, hopefully. I'm a mother of 3. This is actually my second time attending GRCC. I attended back in 2012, but I had a lot of things come up to where I had to take a 3-year break, but I'm here and I'm back and I'm ready to complete my journey. I really can't think of much, anything else.
That's good. Thank you. Pass over. I think he's going to need that.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marcus Parisi. For those that don't know me, I've been attending GRCC since the summer of 2016, and I haven't left since. I am currently a pre-med student. I hope to one day go to medical school and become a physician, hopefully with an emphasis in anesthesiology. I never thought I would come to GRCC, but for certain circumstances that we'll talk about later, I came here and I couldn't be more happy. Thanks to all of you. I see a bunch of my professors in the crowd, and I just wanted to say thank you. I've had a wonderful time here at GRCC. I never thought I was going to be here, but I'm so glad that I came here. I've learned so much from all of you. I'm also the vice president of Phi Theta Kappa, the Honor Society here on campus, and those experiences have helped me with a lot, especially time management skills. I'm not very good at that. But like I said, GRCC is a great campus, and as Dr. Pink said, you guys are not a secret. I want you to tell the world what you guys have to offer. You're not just a community college. You are one of the best in Michigan. So that's who I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus.
Hi, my name is Eli Pepperella. I'm a GRCC student, class of 2016, high school, class of 2020 for college. I'm a computer science major. I'm vice president of Hallmarks for the Honors Association, Phi Theta Kappa, and I'm a tutor across campus, across a couple different subjects. Didn't expect to come here either, but I really have enjoyed my time. Really just because it was nice to be kind of let off the leash and experience the adult world, I guess, for the first time. So it's eye-opening and it's amazing. So,
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is KZ, and I'm a GRC student. And I inspire youth not to give up on their dreams because there are so many students who just are disappointed with life and they decide to give up on their goals. So one of the people who help them focus on their goals. I'm also a vice president of operations of Student Alliance, and I'm going for criminal justice. That's my major, and this is the winter is going to be my last semester here at GRCC. Then I will have to go to Grand Valley to continue with my bachelor's, then my master's, hopefully get my PhD in the future. So those are my plans. Yep, that's all.
Good. Thank you, KZ. Ladies and gentlemen, please give an applause and a welcome to our students this morning. So, Melissa, I'm going to start with you, and I won't always start with you because that's just mean. But talk to us a little bit about your pathway to getting to GRCC. You talked a little bit about it, but what I'm going to ask of the four of you, talk to us about your path. Was your GRCC, was that a straight pathway? What obstacles did you have in getting to this place? Tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Well, I knew I originally wanted to attend GRCC is from when I started training to become a CNA, and I had my CNA training here on the campus, and I kind of got a feel for how everything was, and I just liked the atmosphere, and it was that moment I decided, like, this would be a good place for me to start, pursuing further into my nursing. So far as my path, it's straightforward, but I really didn't have any, major obstacles. I mean, financial aid was good. It was close to home, and it's pretty much, it. So,
Good.
yeah.
Thank you. Marcus?
No, I wasn't like that. No, I never thought, like I said, I never thought I was going to come to GRCC. When I was in high school, I quickly dismissed the idea that I would ever go to a community college. And now that I'm here, I've completely changed that viewpoint. Coming from where I come from, Eli and I actually we come from the same spot. We went to Forest Hills Northern together. And having said that, people kind of always assumed that I would be like a great kid, a hot shot. and that's not exactly what happened. High school was really difficult for me because towards the beginning I started having a lot of medical issues, and I couldn't get help here in Grand Rapids, so I actually am being treated by the Cleveland Clinic, and I was diagnosed with several chronic medical issues, which kind of put a stick in my machine, and now I had this problem that I feel like my high school didn't know how to address. So I actually missed most of my high school career, and only a couple people know this, but I actually didn't graduate high school. I'm actually a high school dropout rep in here. I never thought I would say that in front of a bunch of accomplished people, but yes, I'm a high school dropout. Towards the end of my high school career, my senior year, it got a lot better, but I think my teachers and my administration were really frustrated with the whole situation, and I guess I can get that, except I was also frustrated. And one of my teachers actually told me that I was the worst student she had ever seen in 29 years, and I had an administrator tell me that I wasn't a contribution to society and I was destined for failure, and I walked out. I was kind of done. I thought I could do better. I knew I could do better. I've known I've wanted to be a doctor since I was in the 8th grade, and I wasn't going to let any teacher or administrator stop me. So I left. My 18th birthday present was signing up to take the GED, and when I took it, the proctor said it was the highest score she had ever seen in conjunction, and I came to GRCC, and I haven't looked back since. And I couldn't be more proud of my past because I showed people that never believed in me that I was capable, that I could do it, and I still believe that today, and I intend upon using what I've learned to help me through medical school. So I definitely had a lot of obstacles, and I still have to deal with a couple of those obstacles today, but GRCC gave me a second chance, and I really appreciate that.
Eli?
My story is kind of similar to Marcus's, except it kind of was a family issue. I'm originally from Lansing. I moved here when I was, I think, in the 4th grade, about 8 or 9 years old. And I went to Forest Hills Northern, and that's an area where you are kind of expected to go on to these elite institutions and things. And I knew that I always learned kind of differently and did things a little differently as well. So I didn't succeed that well in high school. And in conjunction with that, my father contracted an illness about my sophomore year of high school. And that really put a wrench into the works, and I didn't know where I was gonna go or what I was gonna do. Being the oldest of 4, I kind of have to set the example for my younger siblings. And so I didn't know what to do. And my parents had both went to community colleges, and my dad, it worked well for him because he went on to law school eventually. And so I knew that a community college is not anything to be ashamed of, or it won't put you back, because I saw my own father and where it put him. So with the money issues, and I originally had planned to go to Calvin College. And when I got the deposit, about 3 days later, I immediately enrolled here because you guys can imagine what that would look like. But it was the best decision I've ever made, and I have not looked back a day since.
Casey?
Okay, my path here at GRCC was a little bit different from everyone here because I come from very far away on the other side of the sea in Africa, in the Congo Democratic Republic, and we speak French. We don't speak English. And my high school, I learned everything in French. So when I came here, it was like very hard to get used to the system here. Some of my friends told me to come at GRCC because they thought it was a good place, which came out to be a very nice place for me. And when I got here at GRCC, I was told that my English was not enough to start the regular classes here. So I was told to start with ESL classes, which was good. And I followed that, and I started with ESL. But in the ESL, I wasn't feeling like very good because I knew that I didn't come to learn English. I came to continue my education. So I decided to talk to the counselors and see if they could give me a chance to just take like one semester of regular classes. Then in case I fail, I could always go back to ESL. Then the counselor's decision was your English is still very low, so you just need to continue with ESL classes. I said, okay, but I just need to like a chance to see if it's hard, I will come back to ESL. But they never gave me a chance. It was fine. And I decided to, okay, that day in the office, the counselor, I will not talk anyone's name, but yes, in the same day in the office, the counselor called the other counselor that I have this crazy guy here who think that he can go to the regular classes without speaking English. And he is very convinced. So the other counselor told me that you need to follow what he's telling you. He knows. He told me that even myself, I cannot go to China and go to the regular classes in China without enough of Chinese language. So just continue with ESL classes. Then later, once you finish all the program, you will be now good to start the normal classes. Then I said, okay. Then I walked out. I went. I had to look to find ways to just try it for myself. Then I found my way in. I registered myself in some math classes and biology. Then I said, if I fail, it's okay. I will go back to ESL. Yeah. Then I started in my classes. It was hard for the first months, yes, because I couldn't understand anything. Yeah, it was very fun. And when I was getting ready for quizzes, it was also very hard. I could just stay there. Like if someone can study something for about 1 hour, I could take 3 hours, you see. So I was getting ready. I was making sure that I'm not going to fail. Then the semester went good, and whenever I had exams over there, I could just come and read the question and try to understand it in French, then change everything to English and see which one is the best answer. Then it worked out. That semester, I made the dean's list. Then I never went back to ESL classes. And I decided to, even the same semester, I made the decision to join the leadership teams here at GRCC. Then I applied for Student Alliance, which was the good leadership group here at GRCC. And it was fine. I did everything good. And I never found those issues that the counselor was telling me. That's why my advice is, here at GRCC, there are two types of students. There are those who come here for ESL classes because they want to learn English, and there are those who come here because they have other dreams. They want to pursue their education. So my recommendation, I would recommend whenever the students are coming here to ask them if they want to study English, they go for ESL classes. If they don't want to study English, they can always take at least a chance if they want to, because not everyone would like to do that. But if they want to, just try to give them a chance to just take at least one semester and see if they can make it. And if they don't make it, it's always good for them to go back, you see, because it's never too late, you know. Yep, that's my path here at GRCC, and thank you.
Casey, thank you for that. You answered about 5 of my questions, so that was appreciate that. Marcus, I want to start with you on this because all of you really spoke to some of the things that have helped and things that have been good for you here at GRCC. So it's kind of almost hypothetical in this regard. Talk to me about a good day at GRCC, a good day as far as classes, whatever it is. I know several of you, and Marcus, I know with PTK and your involvement there. Talk to me about a good day or a good semester at GRCC. What does that look like in terms of what has helped you be successful to this point in your GRCC education? What are those positive things that you would put out there and say, boy, these things really work and are working well for me?
Well, as soon as you say that, a lot of things come to mind. Every time exam week is over, that's a great day. When the transcript comes back and it's all over, it just feels amazing. But that's not what I have to think about. Another thing I could say is when I have won my scholarships. I won a PTK scholarship for $5,000. I actually found out on video, and I'm so glad that, you know, when you hang up, there's like that 10 seconds afterwards. I'm so glad no one can hear that because I just screamed. I was so excited. I actually won a scholarship, a high school dropout won a scholarship. That's why I kept screaming, and my mom thought I died. But that's not what I think my best day at GRCC was. So far, I've only talked about academic things, and I think I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about something else.
Sure.
My best day was actually a Monday, which is pretty surprising. It was in my second semester, winter of 2017. It was in April. It was after PTK has an annual convention called Catalyst. It was after that. The Board of Trustees asked us to present in front of them about what we had learned at the conference and what we could bring back to the college. And unfortunately, I couldn't make it because I had class. And I felt like I was letting my team down because I couldn't be there for them to, you know, talk about everything that I learned at Catalyst. So as soon as my class ended, I was in Professor Groh's class, wherever he's out there. After your class was, I ditched it. I ran as fast as I could to get to the Board of Trustees meeting, and just my luck, as soon as I got there, the PTK presentation ended, and I felt really, really bad. But a couple of the members and a couple of advisors had come out, and we were on the parking garage. And one of the people that was a part of that group was someone that I had admired that whole year. I was really impressed with how dedicated they were to their schooling and to PTK and how involved they were. And of course, they were really, really cute. And at that time, I convinced my now girlfriend to come to the regional conference. Bailey Cummings, she's over here. Just wave so everyone can see you. I convinced her when she didn't want to, because she already transferred to GVSU, so what the heck is the point to keep going with PTK? But that's just who she is. That's how involved she was. She decided that she would come to us to regionals, a regional conference. And at that conference, we really developed a nice relationship. And a week later, I asked her out. And now we've been together for almost 8 months. And again, I never thought I would be here. I didn't think I would ever come to a community college. If I didn't get sick, I wouldn't come here. If my high school wasn't a bad experience, I wouldn't have come here. But if I didn't come here, I never would have met her. So I think that that was my best day by far. And honestly, no exam week, finishing exam week can beat that. No scholarship, no good grades, nothing. That makes me the happiest.
So that was good. That was, I like that. Okay, Eli, please. Tell us about your best day. What's a good day here?
Man, I think I don't have any specific best days. I think it's usually just like a conjunction of a bunch of different events that I have in my mind. Really, some of my best experiences, though, I've worked kind of all over this campus in different jobs. I've had a couple. And when I first came here, I was really surprised with how much pride people took in their work. I know that I remember I worked in the kitchen when I first came here, in the GRCC kitchen, and I wasn't the best employee, and they really kind of just like taught me, you know, a lot how to act. I remember I had an interview with I can't remember her name. I do, but I'm not gonna say it. And I was told to spit out my gum as soon as I got there, and I found that fascinating because I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, we're not playing around anymore. And I just like the fact that people really care and take pride in what they do. And tutoring, too, has been awesome. And just meeting with so many different people. And I mean, you really get people from all realms of life tutoring. And that's really fascinating, one-on-one meeting with them. So it's just been really cool across the board. And yeah.
Great, thank you. KZ?
I also think that my best day here at GRCC was the day I decided to work for orientation, because I've met so many good people there, and I like helping people, so I like the way we explain them what the path here at GRCC was, where they need to start, and also the people I work with are very nice people. I thank Evan because he has been my advisor for Student Alliance, and he is my boss too here for orientation. So I thank him so much because he's very nice. So meeting those people that made that day I decided to go to work for orientation the best day.
Great, thank you. Melissa?
Well. I would have to say, anytime you can find a good parking spot at GRCC, it's going to be a good day. I have too many good days to name, but I can tell you a few, for instance, that stands out will be my coming back to school in the fall of 2016.
Yep.
And getting up, basically proving my point that coming from messing up my first time being here, my grades fell, and that's a whole nother story, but being able to come and, well, I'm going to start over. First good day was passing my HESI exam. I must admit, because that was a very emotional day for me. I didn't do too well the first time, and I took it the second time around, only to find out that, so I thought that I didn't make it, I failed. So I'm sitting there looking at my scores, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? This can't be right. And I'm like crying, like big grown woman, just bawling tears. And I went to the nursing department, and I cried to them, like, I don't know what to do, and this is gonna be, I really just don't know what steps to take. So I was on my way to the parking lot, and something was like, Melissa, look at your paper. And I looked, and I noticed that it was the date from the first original test that I took. So I go back up to the testing center, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not right. This is the wrong school. This gotta be wrong. Like, today is like August something, and this paper's saying May, like something that can't be right. Come to find out, make a long story short, they printed out the wrong scores. And I did pass, so that was like very, very emotional, very like, yes, that was one of my, like, start of my best days.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, we'll be making the dean's list.
Yes.
And my most recent best day ever, and this was this past semester, was making it to the president's list. And I
All
never
right.
done that a day in my life.
right.
And I'm just, every time I think about it, I just want to cry. But yeah, those were like my most best high points, and being able to look forward to starting nursing school is, you know, I'm looking forward to that. So
Good for you. Thank you, Melissa. So I have several other questions, but we're getting short on time because we have other meetings this morning. So I have one more question for you. You guys have about, I'll give you about a minute and a half for for these answers, okay? Kind of talked to you about it before we started. So you have sitting in front of you faculty and staff, administration, board of trustees. You have everyone at this institution represented in this room right now. And every last one of these folks sitting in front of you wants to see you succeed. They want to see you one day walk across the stage and then on to what your next will be. They all want to see you succeed. You have a captive audience. So if there's something, give us one thing from a student perspective that you thought, if there's something I could say that you believe would not only help you, but help students after you, that you think, I just don't know if they're aware of this or not. What would that one thing be that you can give us, that piece of student advice that you say, I don't know if they know that about what our student experience is? Give us that one thing just from your perspective. What's one thing that you would say, boy, if I could give them this, that thing you can tell us that will help us, help you, and those after you be successful. Eli, if you don't mind, I'm gonna start with you. What would that one thing, just one thing, what would that be?
I think that, you know, for me especially, and for a lot of college students, it is just such a big adjustment coming to a place like this. And it can be really difficult to adjust sometimes. And unfortunately, I've wrote numerous papers on it. I don't believe that the education system and the way that they do things, you know, I have my own problems with that. But unfortunately, the only way that I can succeed in this system is if I make my grades right. And I think that, unfortunately, but it is the way it is, we need to just have more open discussions on how things are graded, because that is just kind of the only way that I can succeed in this area. And I think that should just be not a taboo subject to talk about in the classroom. And I think that just understanding where the overwhelmed students come from and spending some more time with them would really make a difference for certain students, because a lot of them who come here have no one to look to. I'm a computer science major, and if I didn't have my father, who I saw go on to engineering school and then law school, I wouldn't believe I could do it either. So I can only imagine what they go through, and I think they just deserve some special attention.
Great, thank you. KZ?
Yeah, the one thing that let me an advocate for international students a little bit. So the one thing that I think people here don't know, because I analyzed it and I found out that international students are the ones that they pay 3 times expensive the tuition fee, and they are not allowed to work. It's a government thing, because they are not allowed to work outside the school, so they only work in the school. And whenever they work in the school, they cannot work more than 20 hours, 20 hours, yes. They cannot work more than 20 hours. And you see, when they come here, they spend too much money. And what I'm talking about all of this is that international students need some kind of scholarships to help them out, because no one can change the government, because those rules were made by the government. So if the school could try to find even some kind of scholarship, not for those students, because there are scholarships for those who can go above the 3.0 GPA, but what about those who have some 2.5 GPAs and they are very involved in the student organizations here, they help out in everything. So we had an idea. I was talking to my Student Alliance people, and we were trying to see if we can find ways to have at least one scholarship each semester for international students. We can have it like the international student of the year, the international student that is more involved in the student organization, even if he has 2.5 GPA, but to try to find ways to just help him out. So that was one thing that I think everyone should know, and at least try to, if you are here, try to think if you can have even some best ideas than what I have here to just try to help them out. Myself, I'm not considered international student. I'm considered now as a resident, but I'm talking on behalf of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa?
What was the question again? What I would have to say is, just like Eli said, you know, like without your parents or anybody, you pretty much don't know where you will pretty much be. And just like the young man was saying over here, I'm like, I would never thought I would be in college. And I want to just say to the faculty, just, you know, you're my family at the end of the day, because it's kind of hard to have a support system sometimes. Being a college student is not easy, but I just want to say, just do the right thing and just keep being there, and just, you know, I wouldn't change anything about you guys. You guys are amazing. You know, everybody that I've ran into, all my professors that I've met over the years, you're amazing, so, yeah.
Thank you, Melissa. Marcus?
Well, I'll start out with something good. I definitely liked, especially coming from where I've come from, I definitely like how I never, ever felt judged here. When you look at me, you just look at who I am. You don't think, oh, because he's a dropout, he's not going to succeed, or, oh, you know, I'm assuming that he's, you know, not going to be good enough for this class. You always just base your opinion solely upon my academic performance, so I appreciate that. But having been in a situation where I felt left behind. In high school, I felt left behind. I felt like I was smart enough, I was capable enough to do exactly what they were asking me to do, but I just needed more resources, I just needed more time, and I think that they just didn't want to give that to me. I don't know if it was because they were lazy, I don't know if because they didn't want to, I don't know if it was because if they thought I was ugly or if they didn't like me, I don't know what it was, but I really, really felt behind. And there have been a couple professors here that I think have really shown that they don't want to leave any students behind. I'll call out Professor Groh again. Professor Groh would give us problems in his chemistry class, and he would walk around the room and make you feel really dumb and really awkward because he would look at your paper and you would try to cover it up because you had the wrong answer. But he did that because he wanted to make sure that you weren't just sitting there in class. He made sure that you were actually doing the problem, and even if you were doing it wrong, he made sure that you were at least trying. And on his quizzes and tests, you always gave partial credit. You always try. If you don't know anything, just scribble and I'll give you a point. I really appreciated that. For multiple reasons, because it showed me that even if I don't know, if I just start the problem, maybe I can get somewhere. And thanks for the points, I really appreciate that. Professor Neal, I don't know if he's out there, but Professor Neal, I'm sorry for the rest of my professors, was my favorite professor. He was my statistics professor, and he did something very, very similar. Every time he would ask us a question, he would go around the room and he would ask every single person, he said, questions? Questions? Question. And at the time, it was really awkward. It was my first semester, and this professor, who I rarely encounter, just came up to me and said, questions, questions? And it just puts you in such an awkward situation that if you actually had a question, you would ask him. And if you didn't have a question, you're like, no, professor, like, I got it right. Like, do I have the right answer? And I felt like those two specific examples show that don't leave anybody behind. You don't know who your students are. You don't have to know who your students are. When they walk in the door, now they're just your students, and you should use what they show you as your foundation to base your opinion off of them. You shouldn't just leave them in the dark. You shouldn't just assume because maybe they did bad in a class before, or maybe you heard bad things about them from another person. You shouldn't just assume that they're a bad person, because if I had told you, all my professors, if I had told you when I first walked in the door, I dropped out of high school, I failed Algebra 2, all my math professors, I failed Algebra 2, I got kicked out, would you have assumed that I would have 4-pointed your class? I mean, would you have assumed that I would have gotten all A's? I mean, I don't want to assume for you guys, but I don't think so. I failed chemistry, and then I got an A in Gen Chem. So that's all I can say. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for our students this morning. I think one thing is interesting, one of the patterns that I heard today from I think all four of you, at some point having someone who in your life that just didn't have faith in you, that said you can't do it, that of making that statement or judgment of what they thought you couldn't do. And it sounds like what I am hearing is that you get here, in your time here, people here have told you yes you can, and they've shown you that way. And that's, for me, that's so encouraging, not only for our institution, not only for you as our students, but for all students that'll come here. So I appreciate that. Friends, gosh, I've spent enough of your time this morning. We have Faculty Learning Day tomorrow. We have school meetings this afternoon and different things going on. Campus is alive and well again, cold and snowy, but still alive and well. And we'll have students getting here in a few short days. So in your preparation for students, please be safe, be careful. If you have a minute or two and can spare it, please make sure and come up and just shake the hand and thank our students personally for spending time with us this morning. Thank you guys very much. Go Raiders. Let's get off to a good semester. Thank you.